Well, good afternoon, friends. This is Curtis Robinson. I'm with First Page Wellness, and I'm going to talk about the the top five things to avoid when starting a new business. Now, I'm going to tell you that first and foremost, I'm running a self-defense training company now. But prior to this business, I ran 3 clinical counseling practices. We served thousands of clients and saw about 300 clients a week. And I can kind of tell you that from personal experience, you can find a lot of these answers in most textbooks. It's common knowledge. You could Google these things, but I'm going to give you a little insight that goes beyond what you can just find with a simple Google search. The first thing I want to talk about is capitalization. And for some of you that are thinking about starting a business, you probably already know what that means. It's the money. How much money do you have and where are you getting that money from to start your business? I'm going to tell you the first thing that most people do is they think they can get into a business for X number of dollars, whatever that might be. Again, whatever X is, let's say that it's $5,000. All I need is a lawnmower and all I need is a trailer and I can run a successful landscaping company. Well, you probably forgot about, the cost of gasoline, your own truck, your insurance, and whatever other things that you need to add on to those things. When you're talking about a bigger business, a professional business that would require some sort of building, you're not doing something at home or out of your backyard, out of your garage, then you're just going to come into a ton of different things that you just have to include when you're getting capitalized. So when I say capitalization, where are you getting the money from? Either you are going to self-finance, which is what I've always done. I had money, I saved money, I had income ready. Or you're going to get money from somewhere else. Maybe you're going to go to the bank for a loan. Maybe you're going to go to investors and they will help you capitalize. Maybe you're going to sell shares of stock, for example. The problem that I'm going to really hammer in on is not what is capitalization. You should Google that. Not even how can I capitalize. It's really how much. And I would say, for example, that when I first opened these 3 clinical counseling practices, it was $50,000 up front, and it was a lot of money. And I thought, ooh, what is that really going to cover? This $50,000, and what will I do if I haven't accounted for something, or if I've exceeded that amount of money? And what I did is in my head, I knew for a fact that the bank is never going to loan me money when I'm hurting, when when the value of my business is going down. So if I'm struggling, that's not the time to get a loan. What I thought was, what I should do is I'm in a good position today before I open the business. I should set up some sort of agreement with the bank beforehand. And this is in the terms of like a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. I'm not a banker. I'm not trying to sell you on a HELOC, but this is what I used. It's essentially money that is loaned to you on the equity of your property. So if you own a house, for example, or you own another business, or you own some sort of property, you can set up a home equity line of credit. And that home equity line of credit could be at any number of banks, and it could include any number of charges or interest rates. I'll tell you that if you get it at a low interest rate before you need the money, that's the best time to establish your home equity line of credit. And I got mine, I think it was about 3 or 4%. It was very low. And a home equity line of credit essentially is an invisible bank account. It's just a number. The bank says, hey, we're going to give you an extra 20,000 or an extra 100,000, whatever it is that you want. And we're going to hold your home in abeyance, or basically we're going to put a lien against your home until you repay this amount. But you don't have to spend it. This is the thing. It's kind of like a standby loan. So you're not paying interest while it's waiting. So when I started my business, I had most of my expenses kind of right here on this nice level playing field, and they didn't really shoot up. So I was in good shape. I had this money. I didn't need it. That means I'm not drawing interest on it. That's super smart. If you get a loan before you start the business, now you're not only paying for the expense of the business, but now you got to pay the loan back and you're drawing interest. That's awful. I would say don't do that. The home equity line of credit is a good way. And you can also go to other investors and you can capitalize through them. Make sure you have a good contract and you know what you're doing. But capitalizing means having exactly enough for the entire business over the course of the first 6 months to a year at a minimum, preferably the first 2 years. So you have to use a pro forma or some sort of Excel spreadsheet where you can kind of say, here's my rent, or my mortgage, here's my lights, here's my overhead for my personal needs, again, if you're going to pay yourself out of that, if the business is paying you as if you're an employee. And then what am I going to do about payroll? How am I paying my employees along and along? How am I buying simple things like, office materials like copy paper and toilet paper and pens and pencils or whatever else you got to have. That includes laptops. It includes cell phones. It includes other things that sometimes we kind of marginalize. But you also might need furniture. So throw all that together, stick it in the Excel spreadsheet, and figure it out what you're going to need. I would even break that down as a startup cost and then ongoing cyclical charges, things that you're going to have to pay in along and along. Let's go to the next thing after capitalization is the market. Guys, the biggest mistake that I see is capitalization. But the second biggest, and it's a close second, is you don't know the market. You don't understand the market. So if we look at Sam Walton, who built Walmart, he knew that he was going to have great competition with, particularly with Kmart and Family Dollar and these other large department store kind of companies. And he decided what he would do is he would research. He would go regularly to stores of different types, Belk's and Kmart, and he would go to Family Dollar. He'd even go to grocery stores, and he'd just look around and see what the prices were. This was long before Google, by the way, long before we could just look at these things online. And he would say, I got to be able to beat that guy. If I can't beat him on the price, then he's going to get the business. So understanding the market is important. Now, when it comes to running a clinical counseling practice, which I've done, or when it comes to running a self-defense training company, which I am currently doing, I know about what the market rate is. So, for example, if you need therapy for anxiety, depression, grief, or trauma, typically speaking, people will pay a cash amount of about $100 here in the state of Arkansas. It could be more in New York, it could be more in LA, but here in Conway, Arkansas, which is a 64,000 population kind of a town, it's about $100. People can't afford that. They don't want to pay that for very long. So what I remind people is that what if you could have them get $100 worth of value for less money, like a $25 copay? Ooh, suddenly it makes sense that you need to now take insurance for reimbursements. So Blue Cross Blue Shield, United, TRICARE, Aetna, Cigna, these are great companies who are paying providers for their service, and they're collecting money from the individual in the form of their insurance payment. So understanding the market, how am I going to do something other people can't do? I want to give more value and charge less price than my competition, which leads me immediately into the next bit. The third thing is people don't understand their competition. Imagine that, again, you're Sam Walton and you want your store, Walmart, to grow and beat Family Dollar and beat Kmart. Most people don't even remember Kmart. It's been gone for so long. It's defunct. They went out of business. And I think Walmart put them out of business. What will your competition do? What are they willing to sacrifice to keep market share? So I want you to remember that whatever your product is or whatever your service is, you need to know how much they are charging for it. You don't have to be the lowest price, but you have to give them something that increases the value. So I would say that, again, as a self-defense training instructor and running a FFL gun shop, this is what I'm currently doing. It's my retirement hobby, my retirement gig. I know for a fact that you can go on all kinds of different websites like Gun Broker, and you can see what a gun is selling for. And you can say, okay, look, my competition's willing to give this gun away. Ugh, that's horrible. So again, for me, if I see, let's say that I see a really nice pistol, Sig Sauer P365, for example. Let's say that I see that this thing is going for right about $600, and I'm not willing to take less than $600. What am I going to do? Well, as a self-defense training instructor, what I do is I sell it at the market rate so that I can make the same net profit, the margin that my competition is offering. But I give away a $50 gift certificate for training. Now, this is a very simple thing to do that most gun shops can't offer. If you can't offer the training, then the best you can do is try to lower your prices to be competitive. So I know that most of the gun shops in really anywhere in Arkansas, they might offer maybe the concealed carry program, but they don't offer the in-depth training that I offer. I teach kickboxing, jujitsu. I teach firearms. I teach knife fighting. Our group teaches Tai Chi. I don't personally, one of my instructors does. So I'm offering a $50 gift certificate in service with every purchase of a firearm. And when people buy their gun, the first thing they ask is what? Does anybody do some basic instruction on safety and maintenance and the fundamentals of marksmanship? That's the first thing that people use this $50 gift certificate for. I also have a very nice engagement skills trainer or virtual skills trainer. This is basically a firearm simulator. Come spend that $50 to get you an hour on the simulator. It's fun to do with your family. It's fun to do with on date night. Heck, people are throwing axes for date night. Go figure. I can't see really that as a great self-defense option. So you could come and you could enjoy shooting on the range with me on the self-defense firearms training simulator. So after we've looked at capitalization, market, and the competition, you want to beat the competition. You got to remember that if you're looking for immediate gratification, you shouldn't be a business owner. I say this because people look up whenever they are making a certain amount of money and they're like, I want to make more money like he does. How do I get that promotion? Well, guess what? Sometimes that promotion in business means you do more work. You give up more free time, or you have longer hours, or you've acquired special skills so that you can get the promotion. The ultimate promotion in this world is you get to run your own business. And I know for a fact, because I had therapists when I was running the clinical counseling practices who would say, Curtis, man, what does it take to run a business? I think I'd like to run my own business. Oh, well, very good. I'd have that discussion with them, and I'd explain all of the horror stories that I've encountered as a business owner. And I would explain to them that there is no immediate gratification. If you get a job and you're going to go work in therapy or selling firearms, or you're going to get a job working at McDonald's or whatever it is you're working at, after approximately 2 weeks, you expect a paycheck. That's kind of an immediate gratification. Let's say they hold your first paycheck, okay? Then you're expecting at least payment within a month. As a business owner, you won't get paid for a minimum of 6 months in almost any situation if you start a new business. You just don't get paid. You could have the business take out a loan to pay you a salary and pay your payroll. You could do that. But still, the business isn't profitable. So you're technically, now you're going to pay the bank back for your salary with interest. So there's no immediate gratification. If you think, for example, that, I get to be the boss and I get to make all the decisions, even then, oh my goodness, are you really the boss? As a therapist or a clinical counselor in a clinical counseling practice, I still answered to the client. I still answered to the counseling board. I still answered to other people in the military. When I went from being a private to a sergeant, I thought, I'm going to be in charge. Guess what? I still answered to the lieutenant. Then I said, I'm going to go to officer school and I'm going to become an officer. Well, as a lieutenant, I still answered to the company commander. And I said, well, when I become the company commander, I'm going to be the boss. I still answer to the battalion commander, and so on and so forth. We always answer to someone. Usually it's going to be the client when you are in business. So remember that if you're looking for some sort of immediate gratification, you're not going to get it in pay. You're not going to necessarily get it in being the boss because you still answer to someone. What you're probably going to get it in is in some sort of feeling of accomplishment. You can get that. I won't tell you that running a business is for everyone. It's not. But for the people like me who want to be their own boss, who love leading and who love the challenge, running your own business is a very good way to make a lot of money and have the lifestyle that you choose. And by the way, it is your choice. How often you work, how long you work, those are your choices. Lastly, let's talk about the get-rich-quick schemes. There is no get-rich-quick scheme. Unless you have mastered, poker, and you go to Vegas and you figured it out, and you can come in there with $100 and walk out with $1,000, or go in with $1,000 and walk out with $10,000. Unless you've mastered that, there's no get-rich-quick scheme. There's always risk. Even in poker, there's risk. You could lose. I would say that the get-rich-quick schemes often require a lot of effort up front with a little bit of return, and the gold ring, the thing you're reaching for, is almost always just out of reach. You're like, all I just need is this many more sales and I get the bonus. All I need is this many more downline people in my, pyramid scheme, and I get this wonderful thing. All I need is this. It's always it's right out of reach. And they oftentimes find that it's just never going to be within reach. So what is there? If there's not a get rich quick scheme, there should be a get rich over time strategy. This is the plan. This is what a business plan is. It's a strategy. It's strategic in nature. It has a technical and a tactical aspect, which you do daily, and the expertise that goes into it. There is a logistics requirement. There is ultimately an intel and information requirement, and you build it like you're going to war. Friends, I hope these top 5 mistakes have been clear to you and make sense. So what are you going to do now that you have some information? I'm not giving you the answer. You guys are kind of thinking, well, great, Curtis, you've explained what the 5 mistakes are to avoid when starting a business, but you didn't really tell us how to fix that. I'm going to propose to you that you call me. You can call me, you can text me, you can even get on Zoom with me, you can meet me in person, and I will coach you on how to make your business successful. Now, you might be thinking, well, what makes you think you're an expert? Well, I managed to go from private E1 to retired after 24 years of military service. And I was in such a financial position. I opened my first business after 24 years of total service, 20 years on active duty. I opened my first business within a month of retirement, within a month. I had it all pre-planned and ready. We launched within 1 month. Approximately 7 years later, I sold 3 clinical counseling practices for 4 times the valuation. In other words, whatever the business value was, 4 times that is what I was offered. It was an offer I couldn't refuse, kind of reminiscent of The Godfather, right? They made me an offer I couldn't refuse. I took the money and then I reinvested that, and I ultimately bought this building, and I started doing what I do for a hobby, which is teaching martial arts, self-defense, firearms, and so forth. I know because I've done it. I'm now doing consulting for companies like Third Bridge and like GuidePoint. These companies pay me a lot of money for the expertise that I've gathered. You can find all this on LinkedIn. If you look at me, if you come find me on LinkedIn, you can Google me. I'm everywhere. You can find me on Facebook. You can go to any of my businesses. For example, First Page Wellness. We've got a great website. Also, Conway Toe to Toe, that's TOE number 2 TOE, is my martial arts business. And also Toe to Toe Firearms and Training is my business. You can find me easily. I can say with great satisfaction that don't believe me. You don't have to believe me. If you're not sure if I'm legit or not, go to the people whom I've helped, right? Aaron Esfahani, he's on the website. Debbie Hart, she's on the website. Matt Matone, she's on the website. Actually, I just had a great interview today with an amazing business owner who used to work for me. I would like to say that I've taught him many great things, and he's learned many great things since then. But when I sold my practice, he went out on his own and he created basically a duplicate of what I'd been doing. Same healthcare record system, electronic healthcare record system. He uses therapy notes. He uses the same in-house scheduling and reception. In fact, he took some of the administrators that I trained, and they're now working for him. He hired many of the therapists that I had working for me, and they're now working for him, and he's doing great. I had a great interview with him, and it's on a podcast. I just uploaded it today. Go look for the interview with Zach Coco if you're curious. He'll tell you right on the interview. And guys, if you're curious more about what First Page Wellness is, we are a consulting and coaching business. We want to help people who want to run business. Guys, my name is Curtis Robinson. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be sure to like and share on your social media channel because that helps me. But then click the little bell. That's the notifications button. If you don't click that, you won't get future posts like this interview, future posts like this podcast. Guys, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you do well in your business. My number is 501-515-4788. You can actually call, text, or you can even email me at ceo@firstpagewellness.com, and I will actually talk to you. I will respond to you. And if I can make an agreement, a consulting or a coaching agreement with you, we can do great business. Take care and God bless.